Yo! Video games.
We're back. We've done it. We survived. We're still alive. And we saw Wakanda Forever, a Black Panther story.
I think, it's a little weird. I think it's just Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Yeah,
but it's just kind of Wakanda Forever. It's kind of like
I think that's the beginning title is Wakanda Forever.
Yeah,
like the Black Panther or something like that.
Something like that.
Anyway, we saw it, and we must have gotten lucky on our show because that theater was like. It was us and a couple of other kids.
Yeah, a couple kids.
And it was like, we just saw it, like, got lucky at a certain time frame. Did they just open up an extra theater?
When I was looking at the other tickets, a lot of the places were busy.
Yeah, they were busy.
And so there was a couple, and I'm like, hey, look at this theater. This theater is a little empty, and yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's like a lack of turnout thing. I think it's just that they opened up more.
Yeah.
I think we just got stuck in a very convenient theater with not many people in it.
Yeah.
So we saw it, and obviously this is probably one of the most anticipated, big Marvel, big scale Marvel budget movies, because it's obviously one of the most successful movies of Marvel's entire franchise that was, very much unexpected, I guess, from the time frame, and ended up becoming literally one of the biggest things with one of the most important characters in the MCU. I guess before we get into spoilers or anything, it's fairly obvious that we know the story of this film. It does take into account that obviously we lost Chadwick, and it is a film that accepts that.
Yes.
Right? It's a film that accepts that he was the Black Panther and he is gone, right? So that's pretty much the only premise you get from the trailers.
Get it because it's Wakanda Forever.
Exactly. And that's honestly was a big, I guess, moment of contention for fans and executives and figuring out what the heck they want to do with the franchise after this.
Do we recast him? Do we not recast him? What would he want?
And I think my take on that is there's no way to make everybody happy.
No.
There was none. Yeah. Like if you waited, there would have been repercussions or consequences. If you went too fast, obviously, not enough time to grieve and approach what they do here. It's just one of those situations that I don't think there was ever going to be a right answer.
Damn if you do, damn if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. So it's so how was it? And I think before we even get into details, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Is it? Did I like it more than Black Panther 1? No. I think I just like the premise of Black Panther 1 more, like how it sets up its plot and its pacing and where it goes with things. I think it was pretty good because this is a much different kind of movie. If you guys, it doesn't feel. I don't know if it was just me, but it doesn't really feel like a big MCU movie.
No,
not at all.
No, and maybe that was appropriate, and that was.
And I think that's literally what they were kind of going for. I think it's just it was a big love letter and a big passion to Chadwick, and it's crazy. It was just like I said, it's an
That's some very heavy shit.
Heavy shit, man.
And they treat it, and they treat the heavy stuff with
a lot of respect.
With a lot of respect, and it doesn't bounce harshly from heavy to not heavy. Horribly, like the way Thor did.
Yeah, the weight carries from
right. Where they Jane Porter has cancer, and that's treated seriously, but then we bounce really hard into something stupid.
Yeah, what's my quip when I kill a bad guy?
Yeah.
I have cancer and you're a bitch. No.
Right. So it treats the weight of its subject matter.
I can't kill cancer, but I can kill you.
Yeah, the whole way. So
yeah, and that's what I mean. Tonally, it doesn't feel like any other MCU movie.
Actually, and I think that's probably one of its biggest strengths is that it doesn't have tonal whiplash, even when it does. Even when we're getting into crazy sci-fi shit. Even
when people's skin is turning blue and crazy fishman new guy is showing up.
Yeah, and then they try to make some things visually work and some things just.
Yeah, that's what I will say.
Effects wise, are
that's what I will say.
Back and forth,
some of the effects, and I think it suffers from the problem with Black Panther 1. It's just when they're when the Black Panther fights, it just seems like a video game cutscene. There's not the fight scenes are just kind of I know the Black Panther's acrobatic and stuff like that, but it just seems like a kind of. It's in the dark and it's all these flippy dippy stuff, and it just doesn't feel that impactful.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk about too much of it of how much you see of the Black Panther in the Black Panther movie. How'd you feel about all that stuff, Steve?
It was a good movie. It was a good movie. It's in its own right, like you said. It's one of those things where the movie itself is its own thing. I wouldn't try to connect it to anything because it feels like it's its own. Actually, it just feels like a spinoff.
It almost does. And I was saying we were talking to Kenny about this, and they're there's one thing, mid-credits and Kenny was checking if there was going to be anything post credits, like a teaser.
Yeah.
Dr. Doom's dick flashes for a second, and I'm just like, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think based on how the tone of this movie is and what it's trying to go for, I don't think they're going to be like, and here's Spider-Man eating a sandwich. I don't think that, and then none of that, and guess what? It didn't. That's a spoiler. That's fine to spoil.
Yeah, because
there is no big tie-in MCU thing. Namor's like, well, I'm gonna go fight Hercules.
Yeah, or I'm gonna call my friend Galactus.
I'm gonna call my friend Galactus.
I'm gonna resurrect Thanos, and we're gonna take all the world.
There's none of that shit.
And
it honestly, if it did, that would have felt super weird. Especially with how the film concludes and starts and stuff like that. It's clearly something. Like you said, it feels different.
It actually would have taken away from the rest of the movie.
It would have.
Yeah, if they tried to tie in anything or something like that, it would have taken away from the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And you definitely don't want that in this particular movie.
Yeah, because if they hit the movie and then all of a sudden at the end, but now here's,
because it was so hyper-focused, that's definitely not the way they needed to go, and I'm glad they didn't go that route, so it makes sense.
Yeah, there's... This movie needed to exist, right? In some way,
100%.
Because it is a tribute, right? It is something that has to be. This is Marvel's answer to what happened.
Well,
right?
It's kind of like where Chadwick actually, in multiple interviews, he said that this was like a passion project for him, and he had people who, well, I want to say people, but there was a person that he had talked to in the hospital who had the same disease as him, and they really wanted to see him become that superhero. And so he actually went the extra mile, did the workouts, did the scripts and stuff like that.
While he was dying.
Even while he was sick, to do Black Panther because he knew the impact that it would have.
Yeah. I didn't realize that he had cancer. He had beaten cancer beforehand.
Yeah. And
then it was just kind of assuming he was believing in himself that he could just do it again.
From what I gathered, it ran in the family, so they knew that they had. And the same thing, like with his brother too. His brother, you had what's it called, close calls and stuff like that. So it's just. It's unfortunate, that kind of things happen. But from what I gather is that he knew, something like this could happen to him. So he put out that extra mile to make sure that he made something that was impactful enough for him to create. And he wanted to just keep going because he had made so many other movies too. Mm-hmm. But this was like the staple, you know what I mean?
Well, this is like... He became an icon.
Yes,
he became like a cultural icon, right? Like kids. Mm-hmm. This is something that kids will look. This is like to an entire generation of kids. Like they're Superman.
Yeah.
And that's like something that has a legit amount of significance. It's a reason why the movie made $1 billion. Like there was an attachment to be made here that was made, and Marvel fucking nailed it, right?
Yeah. And what was wild too, because I used to go to Disneyland, and it was right around the time the movie came out, and they had the meet and greet, and kids, all kinds of kids, were just dressed as Black Panther, black, white, Hispanic.
But it is a dope looking costume.
Yeah, they were they were in
Black Panther's cool looking.
Yeah.
He's Batman without a cape, you know.
More
it's funny too because the success of the original Black Panther was way out. Like it came out of a left field. People didn't expect it to make that much money, and it did. And the impact of it was so great. So the idea that that character became so iconic outside of the other characters was kind of a warm welcome. You know what I mean?
I mean, and to be completely frank, Black Panther as a character throughout the comics is sort of seeming like a B character.
Yeah, he's a side character.
He's not really that big. Front and center, and this was the movie that changed that.
Yeah.
So
that was.
It's funny. Almost any character can do that if they get the right movie.
If they get the right movie,
and Black Panther was.
If they get enough relatable, the stuff that happens, I still think it. And I have to remind myself going back to Black Panther 2018. How good Killmonger's backstory is.
Oh yeah,
the kid in Oakland or something like that. This is. It was for anybody who lives in LA. This shit is super fucking relatable.
It was like a Macbeth. It was a Shakespearean.
Yes.
I give a shout out to the director because he understood what it took to make that character develop all the way, especially from 2018 Black Panther. Sure. He developed the character and was able to make a side story with Killmonger. And make that dynamic.
What's really weird? I don't know if you guys saw it or you were there for it because I was the first one in the theater, but there was a trailer for Creed 3.
Yeah.
And it's got Michael B. Jordan playing the character right? Like the opposite character that he plays in Black Panther 1, where there's a new dude in Creed 3 that literally gets his life taken away from him, and he goes to jail, and he's trying to come back to get his life back because Creed took the life he was supposed to have. I'm like, this sounds a lot like, the story from Black Panther 1, right? I'm like, wow, this is weirdly tying in here.
Yeah.
So I still think that, obviously the stuff that resonated the most, and it's unfortunate that isn't in this movie as much. It mostly is like, instead of giving like a really hard-rooted real world thing, right? Kid in Oakland, you can really relate to a lot of this stuff. In this movie, it doesn't have that as much. Namor gets that a little bit.
Yeah, but to me, I almost said like Namor is almost like Killmonger too.
He really is. There's a lot of similarities between their origin stories.
His origin story, but like you were saying, like it's not about like a real world scenario. I mean, like it's
something that happened. Obviously,
it's his whole origins are fantastic.
Fantastical. Yes, it's something that's like rooted as in like you grow up in a bad neighborhood because you kind of have to with no money and your parents love you, but then you find out situation.
You're from a royalty family that just left you there. Well, that's like a Shakespearean.
And it's the real rooted thing in this movie is that it's still contained in its fantastical elements, but the grief is what's like the thing that they're going for the most, of like dealing with loss. And I don't want to talk about too many spoilery events, but clearly we know the loss that they're talking about, right? How a nation deals with that, how people deal with that. But I feel like it lacked a bit of the relatability of some stuff from the first movie. Obviously, it's directly related to a real life event, right? That we lost Chadwick, but to me, that's the thing that like drops it a bit below the first film. Yeah, well,
and this kind of like it goes into a little bit on I guess the history of it. Like depends on how whether you can consider it, but it's like the backstory for Namor and. In this movie, is anyone who's kind of seen the trailers can tell you that definitely is something that happened a long time in the past,
hundreds and
like very long. So,
but the thing is, to me, like that to me, this is what made the movie even better, and that's what made me like Namor better.
Yeah, Namor's good.
That story,
he is good.
How they, like literally, it's a retcon from the comics, of course, and some people might not like it, but anyone from Atlantis can suck my butt.
I can say this wholeheartedly, like even from a comics perspective, before the movies, I didn't really like the Black Panther as a character. He's a little cat with like scratches and stuff like that. It was weird.
On the surface level, yeah.
Surface level, like I didn't like Black Panther, and the same with Namor. Surface level, I don't like Namor. I think he's a lame character. Yeah. But when you put those characters in these movies, they're amazing. They actually turn out pretty damn good.
They turn out
the movie has
it actually does these characters well.
It's funny though; they are mortal enemies in the comics.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
And now, it's the way they.
It's just the powers and abilities sometimes kind of throw me off, and it's like, oh, okay, what is it about the character's personality that grabs you? And then you actually get that in this movie. They actually developed that character.
They did a good job. They did. I feel like Marvel bad guys are getting better sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Like not all the time.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and clearly Killmonger was a pretty good one of the pretty good ones from
why? Because they made him relatable. Same thing with Namor. I think they made him relatable just the same. You know what I mean?
And the thing too is they are the heroes of their own story.
Yes.
And then you can kind of like start thinking about. Then you're like. Yeah, he's out of pocket, but he's not wrong. He's not wrong, but he's out of pocket.
And that's the thing.
And that's the same thing
about a good villain. We talked about this before. A good villain is a character that doesn't believe he's doing anything wrong.
And the funny thing is that doesn't take away from the fact that like comically comical bad guys like Shao Kahn and stuff like that are also great. But the idea is that they're a complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
Like a bad guy that's just bad for the sake of that. They're fucking evil and bad and they're just mean and that's just the way they are.
I think.
Do they have a lot of backstory to it? No, that's just the way they are.
I think it was the idea that they just know their role in that. Because I think Shao Kahn is one of those characters that just knows he's a dictator. Yeah. He's a conqueror. Yeah. So that's what I do.
Yeah.
So you look at somebody, let's say, Genghis Khan. He knew what the hell he was. Like, he knew it. So he embraced it and became
makes him more and more evil and terrible.
But he knew what he was. So
but and then I think like when you get like some relatively good relatable bad guys and stuff like that have like decent objectives that aren't completely forgettable.
Yes.
And that's the problem is when they don't commit to like one side. Are we going to go like the Killmonger kind of Namor super relatable bad guy route, or even Thanos to a certain degree, where you can actually look at the way they're thinking of it?
From Guardians of the Galaxy. He's just, man,
the blue guy.
Rohan. Yeah, that he's just like.
Oh yeah.
We don't know. He's the evil spaceman.
Yeah.
Well, he was working for Thanos, so I think that was his motivation. Is that he was working.
Yeah, and that's not a full commitment because he's just a lackey.
He was just a lackey,
right?
Lackey and wants to get stronger and beat his boss.
Because obviously, like the only comparison I have for this, who's made some pretty good like bad guys, is obviously James Cameron shit.
Oh, yeah.
James Cameron bad guys are super one-dimensional. They're just like corporate guys or military guys, or they're people in uniform of power.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that's a super relatable. To be honest, that's a very relatable thing of a bad guy to be. Like to be essentially held down by people in power is something that like any culture, anything can relate to in some way. So it's weird. And I do think Namor's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
I
loved it.
I will say though, I think the only real problem is that the movie clearly, like originally, because it was originally going to be just dealing with the 5-year, the 5-year snap. And then just,
that's glossed over very quickly.
Well, it's not really, it's not even really almost in this movie. But that was really originally how they were going to deal with like the grief and the loss of losing 5 years and what that did to the people who stayed and the people who disappeared and came back. Unfortunately,
I had a wife and now my wife's got a kid.
Unfortunately, it's got this weird thing where the movie has to deal with sort of passing on the torch and what happens to the kingdom of Wakanda now that T'Challa is gone. Yeah. So that becomes like a big focus, as it should. And I feel like this movie I think this movie was longer than most Marvel movies because then you also have to.
It was long.
You have to introduce your villain and his backstory and his
relatability
and his country of origin and that backstory for all of that. So it kind of all it does it well enough that it's not too much of a problem, but like. It does feel like this movie is like having to put a lot of content into it, like a lot of a lot of lore, a lot of explaining has to get pushed into a lot of.
It comes down to pacing. I mean, you can stuff a lot of things into one movie, or you can be like Jack Snyder and try to stuff everything into one tiny little one big Justice League movie. And sometimes it works and sometimes it isn't. And when you get these kind of films, it kind of just feels like, man, maybe they should have split it up or something.
And we were even discussing that, where it's like the pacing and them trying to cram all this stuff in here. Yeah. For a while, we even said it seemed like the Queen was the main character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna say this right.
And then at some point that changes.
I'm gonna say this right now. Angela Bassett, her back is shattered because she carried the fuck out of this movie. She carried
that really struck me a lot with that
movie.
That's like, I'm like, is she even acting? Is this real? Or is this real?
Killed it. Angela Bassett is a queen in the movie and in real life. Like, goddamn.
Yeah, and it felt like she was the main character for at least half or more of that.
It wasn't that it felt like it. It's like she was. She was the main character for a very long time.
And I really like that they gave like the warrior girls like a lot more presence even in the movie than the previous one.
Yeah, because
I think they kind of had to though.
Yeah, but they kind of had to.
Well, because then like it goes to the title, Wakanda Forever.
Dude, the one I keep forgetting what her name is. It's the one warrior girl that it gets the blades.
Yes,
dude, her face is so. I don't think she has crazy makeup. Her face is so sick looking. She actually looks like she's like a panther. I'm like, her face is so fucking cool. Like that. Is this like? I'm wondering if it's a CG.
You know what it is? It's
great casting. Is what it is.
It's the makeup.
It's the makeup
she put the makeup on right.
It's the makeup and it's the bald head. It gives them that kind of warrior-esque kind of look. I know what you mean.
Yeah, all those characters.
Again, that comes down to casting.
Because you get
those characters that.
And you got Okoye who's perfect, perfectly casted. And I feel like all those warrior girls are so perfectly fucking cast. They all look badass as fuck. And it's honestly probably one of my favorite parts of the movie.
No spoilers. What was that? I think me and Kenny noticed it when she was one of the girls who actually is in this movie. was first introduced in, I think it was Winter Soldier, where Black Panther first showed up, and she was there, and we were like, ah, damn, like, and she was and she was so bad. She was a perfect definition of an Amazon, Amazonian, like.
Oh yeah, she looked more Amazonian than Wonder Woman. Man.
Yeah.
Like when she was walking in, I was just like, God damn,
perfect. So
she
again,
gonna whoop someone's ass.
So again, that just comes down to casting. They just understand. Okay, this is the look that we're looking for. This is the people that we need.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of just like, I think it gets a little all over the place. I think at one point I admittedly like might have dozed off for like 2 minutes. Like literally woke up and then in the middle it gets a little, they're balancing way too much stuff. There's a point where like a returning character comes back from Black Panther 1 that I don't know why this character has scenes other than to tie in potentially other MCU stuff in the future, and it's the Hobbit. It's the Hobbit.
Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
I do not know why his scenes needed to be here.
Yeah, that was really weird because like they're not bad, but
They're
like,
not bad. It's just
it felt like it was leading to something that
doesn't happen.
Yeah,
it's very weird.
It's just he has scenes in the movie, but I will say there is a background thing going on that I really like in this movie, and it's from the beginning. They establish it at the beginning, and he's kind of sort of the standing against it, and that is if you take the idea that Wakanda exists, and they have technology based upon a
rare earth metal
that only exists in their country, and they have the whole supply of it, and it can do all that crazy stuff. Every nation in the world would be trying to do covert shit,
trying its ass off to get it, and it I like that it's cynical, but I really like it. Yeah,
like I like it's real.
I like the idea that it's just kind of like, oh, you have this unobtainium here.
Yeah,
we want the unobtainium too.
Exactly.
You can't only be the only ones with this technology.
But it's funny. It's almost the opposite of James Cameron Avatar, where like the unobtainium is by this species of people that are still indigenous and tribal, but then you have Wakanda who can like.
Wakanda knows what they have. Like the Avatar stuff is different because they don't realize what they have.
Well, the thing is too is like it's they scaved off, but like Wakanda's like no, they're Fort Knox. You ain't coming in here.
Yeah, they're technologically the most advanced in the world. Like there's some good subtext in there.
Yeah, but like some of the things too, like the because we're getting towards like. Some of the effects, they were very hit or miss.
Yeah.
They were very hit or miss in this film. Yeah. Some stuff looked great, and some stuff just looked...
There was a scene where one of the characters were standing on the, like on a ledge waiting for, an attack to happen or whatnot, and you can clearly see it was a green screen. Yeah. So it was just like...
There's some stuff where Namor is flying around and doing stuff, and it's like...
The movie was made in the midst of the pandemic, too. Yeah. So, and that might also be a thing where like that's why maybe it got like heavily green screened on and stuff.
Yeah. But in all honesty, like we've seen shadows of this in like the Black Widow movie and stuff like that. Like the visual effects just come across as a little weird.
I also think that like generally speaking, if you go to a Marvel movie for escapism and just to see shit blow up, this probably may not be exactly what you're watching.
Absolutely not like a Marvel movie. No, definitely not.
Like without spoiling anything, this is tonally and pacing wise and just
different than any
scene to scene breakdown wise. This is not a roller coaster. This is not a.
I would actually find it kind of strange that somebody would come into the movie with that mindset of thinking that this is going to be a blockbuster explosion type of thing. They know. I mean, even with the trailers.
Well, I don't know. People can be dumb.
So of course, that's what I'm saying.
And in all honesty, the movie still tries to be.
Oh yeah,
at certain points.
The movie still like has to.
Yeah, it feels like it's forced at this point,
dude. And that's my issue. Like one of my biggest gripes of the film is that it didn't need to be that. Like we can have a character introspection story, and I think this would be a great moment for it. But we need to have a war.
Yeah,
there needs to be a big war,
and it's because the fact that they're dealing with nations as opposed to just people. You know what I mean? Like you're dealing with so at some point they're like, how do we do? God, it's so funny because in the original Black Panther, it felt kind of forced, where they're like this big giant war needs to happen at the end of the freaking movie.
Yeah.
So,
but no, the actual interesting thing was the relationship between these two characters. That was always the more interesting, engaging part.
Yes.
Them getting into a big CG fight was probably the least interesting part.
Yeah, the CG fight, and it was in the dark, and it goes back to the whole flippy thing. It wasn't impactful, man. Like some, like some fights that are just more intimate and close. That
again, like
are
the
better
weirdest,
than these flippy dip stuff, man.
Probably the weirdest points of the movie are actually like the action
big
moments. Action scenes. Yeah. I mean, so there's good moments in them, of course.
Isn't it fucking weird that we're at that? I mean, and I've personally been calling it for a long time, but I've always said, and this was when Deadpool 2 was coming out, I was like, I don't care about the action scenes in a Deadpool movie. I just want to see Deadpool and Cable bitch at each other.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. And that's honestly the most interesting part of like MCU stuff. Is the most interesting part of this movie too, is when characters are doing character stuff with each other.
It's the dialogue.
And then the weak part of all the MCU movies is actually the fucking action now. Like the action is just, this is just here because.
Yeah.
How many references can we throw into a comic book shit? All right, let's get this over with and actually get back to the goddamn characters.
It seems like they do have trouble trying to build up to that moment that we all want to see.
Nothing in Marvel movies except fucking Endgame and Infinity War stuff, because that actually has a proper build up.
Yeah,
is like The Matrix, right, where fight scenes feel important and impactful, and it's like there is something that is. The characters aren't just fighting for the sake of fighting. You're learning things as they fight.
I think the fight between Tony Stark and Captain America
was great.
Very impactful.
Great.
Just because of the dialogue.
There are some good examples in MCU.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
so that makes sense.
But what is great about that moment? It's like the reason they are fighting isn't. But here's the funny part. You remember that moment, but you remember the fact that they fought the fuck out of that airplane place. In the airport.
You
almost forgot that it fucking happened because that didn't make any goddamn sense. Why are the characters even doing this? But the one at the end, which is like you are revealing the fact that he killed his fucking mother. And now characters are fighting, learning this as they fight. It's great.
Not just that, and I hate to go away from Wakanda, but not just that, but the idea that if you remember, Captain America, he raises his shield and he's about to slam down on Tony Stark, but Tony Stark goes like this, thinking that Captain America was scummy enough to try to kill him, but Captain America just wanted to disable him. So he missed the mark on trying to defend his chest, which he should have done, and Captain America actually takes out his chest because Tony Stark thought that Captain America was actually that sinister to try to kill him. Yeah. Because of that part was so impactful. Because why? Tony Stark wanted to kill him, and you're right. The only reason why that's so impactful is because of how it built up to that.
Because there's a subtext to it.
Exactly.
Because Cap is like, his superpower isn't his fucking, muscles and shit.
Yeah.
Superpower is that he's like the most just person on the fucking history of just people. Yeah.
And I kind of feel that way with Black Panther. He's a very just person.
Yes.
The idea of him.
And they say that straight up in the movie.
They just try to admit it in this film.
Right, yeah. Like that he's a noble.
He was noble.
Yeah, that was the whole point.
And then if you start watching the what if stuff like that, and even in the what ifs, in all these different universes, he's still this amazing, noble person.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I'm like, damn, man. Yeah.
So, final thoughts. I thought it was like pretty good, but not as good as the first movie.
Yeah.
Just overall enjoyability, right?
Yeah.
This one I'd give like probably a 7. I think the first movie for me was about an 8. What did you feel, Simmons?
I think I'm actually a little weirder where I'm like I almost would say it's an 8 just because the acting's really good, the performances are very strong, and I like the themes of this movie. But you're right, the pacing's a little weak, the action almost doesn't
do much.
So
do
it's
much.
Gotta take to a 7.
So it's kind of like this thing where it's like
7.5.
maybe like a 7.5, I guess. Because again, I really like the actors, I like the acting, I like the dialogue. I do think that this one just got a little lost in the sauce with the pacing stuff, where it's like I actually wish there was more for both, but the movie already felt like
the biggest part for me there was I was questioning, is Shuri the main character?
Well,
yeah,
for a big part of the film, I was literally questioning that. And I was like, I don't know.
That's because of the pacing, because it was focusing on a lot.
It was trying to do too much.
And then it just, like, every time I was watching it, kind of made me always think, that's why this movie's called Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
Because it's almost more about Wakanda.
It's about like a group of people and not, you know, it's about a nation of people and not just one individual.
I like the first movie an awful lot, like as far as MCU movies go, and I think I'm almost biased or tainted into liking this more just because the last Marvel movie I saw was Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah. So you just want something good at this point. Like your fiend is like, just give me something.
We need our Andor for the MCU is what we need.
Right.
Something
exactly.
good, man.
Exactly.
That's,
I like 7.5. It could be an 8. I don't know. I like the first movie a lot. I think the first movie is one of the better Marvel movies, like top 3 probably for me as far as the first one goes. This could have been, but like I don't know. It's just a little off pacing wise, but I like that it was consistent with its tone, consistent with its theming. It wasn't this weird.
It wasn't a weird Thor
situation of like, oh man, cancer, serious business, goat screaming.
Yeah, like it was. At least this one had a vision of what it was supposed to be, and they committed to it. There was very little moments where they had to default to humor. And I probably counted like, less than on one hand.
Yeah, less than 5 times where they even tried.
Where they even tried, and none of the jokes really ever land, and they all feel like, well, it's a Marvel movie, so we have to. This is very deep and very, heavy.
Emotional.
This is a heavy kind of movie, right? We got to lighten this up. Then they are spread evenly. Like every 20 minutes, there's a lighten it up. And I'm like, this is getting a little predictable now. I'm like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
How about you, Kenny?
Yeah, no, I'm right around with Simmons. Like the performances, like almost everything what Simmons said. I got to give it up to the actress for Shuri because she really stepped it up.
Yeah, because she gets a very heavy role.
Yeah. Because the thing is, that's the thing that was just kind of thrown upon her, right? I mean, because because of the tragedy, now she has this weight on her shoulder, and it shows in her acting and stuff like that, and like a lot of it's it just some of it I was taken away, but not like in a bad way. I'm like, I think this is just mourning Chadwick. This is mourning their friend, and in some of the scenes I'm like, I don't, this is borderline like.
I said this before, and Max was like, acting. This is acting.
Yeah,
this is acting.
They are
like, bro, these characters are literally not. They are actually mourning the loss of this man.
No, like the beginning of the movie, I'm like, no one's acting in this. Nobody's acting in the beginning of this movie. There,
but granted, you put somebody that doesn't know how to act just mourn on camera, and it's not going to.
It's not going to hit.
It's a combination of incredible talent with the fact that acting is taking from.
Yes, they're professional actors. They know what they're doing. And they express that feeling of remorse that they already were feeling in that scene, and they knock it out of the park.
It might have just knock it out of the park. It might have just came back, right? Because that's how a lot of acting, really good acting, is to try to take those feelings that you've had before and bring them back to portray. And I think this just literally, But to me, like it says, it has this pacing issues a bit. I really love the story of Namor. Like that really bumped it up to me. I think that was super sick, super like I was like, yo, like Simmons even said it when he saw like the first trailers of the con. I'm like, yeah, man, like it's just, and it was cool because like we were watching that, and then there was a part where they say Mexico, where the tribe was kind of from, and some guy in the back's like, yo, that's me. Like, it was like hyped, like because I heard that, some kid was like hyped that these characters were from Mexico and where he's from, and I was like, it's pretty fucking awesome. So, me, I love that shit. That makes me happy. But, it's...
I've been to that, his exact part where they go.
Yeah.
So that was actually kind of fun for me to see that. I almost took a tour to that one pyramid.
Oh, nice.
We drove by it. but I was like, hey, I know where that is.
That isn't on the beach, is it?
Yes.
Really?
Wow.
That wasn't CG?
No. That I mean, unless they just digitally recreated it.
Yeah.
No, there's a couple like that are right there, like on.
They are built right on the ocean, like right on the shore.
Is, like to my knowledge, like one definitely is. There's other ones that are not, but that was actually pretty. Like
Fuck, that's crazy.
Well, I mean,
very picturesque place.
Well, that's what makes it really interesting too. Is that whole culture about it too, and the fact that I was sitting there like they're not. There's a party that they're not going to speak Spanish, are they? Like the people, and they're like, no, it's actually Mayan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, thank God.
They went with the extra Mayan.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, thank God. Because I was like, man, that's going to be a weird oversight.
And that's one thing I did kind of appreciate about once again, another thing that makes the film not obviously very kid-friendly. There's a lot of native tongue. Yeah. Right. There's a lot of people speaking original languages, right? That the characters should be speaking, and I mean, presumptually in some situations, right? So I appreciated that. Like, there's a lot of subtitles in this movie.
Yeah, I gotta give it up to God, I forget her name. It is the girlfriend of Chadwick, or the Chitala, the girlfriend of Chitala in the movie. Her Spanish.
Oh my God, bro!
Spanish.
Her Spanish.
And then she went to French. She went to Spanish, and she went to
I have started reading Spanish.
what was it? Mayan. She spoke all of them natively. Like, it was perfect. It was
Bro,
spot
her
on.
Spanish, I was like...
She did a great, fantastic job with that. So I gotta give it to her.
That almost sounded like it was dubbed, bro. So good.
Yeah.
She had like the accent, too.
There's not many
like...
actors or actresses that can pull that off in that capacity.
Yeah, it was...
To make it feel authentic.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's like, oh, okay, well, did she just learn it a little bit and then just figure out those lines, that part? Or did she actually know that
weirdly
language?
enough,
You know what I mean?
I think she was actually my favorite character in this movie.
Ooh, yeah. Well, no. Okay, well, if that's yours, mine was Angela Bassett, tenfold.
Yeah, well, Angela Bassett is like, it's almost like expected. Like, we've been seeing her do this in movies.
She's a veteran. She knows how
literally like a goddess of cinema.
Everything.
Yeah. But like, I think just
I love her.
I think some characters definitely made me appeal towards more, and I feel like it should have been Shuri, but because of the way the movie is paced and everything, Shuri only gets so much like direct main character screen time, and it's like half the movie.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
100%.
So, it's good. I mean, obviously, if you've seen Black Panther 1, you should go check it out. I would not expect a big Hollywood blockbuster.
Yeah.
And I would temper your expectations in that regard.
You do get
movie
big,
tries.
there is big spectacle scenes. They are there.
I would say it's not like the Batman. Like, I love the Batman, but the Batman was a big slow burn, and people probably didn't like it because it's like this movie's a little bit there, but then you still get your big wham bam crazy action sequences and stuff like that.
Yeah, does it have the big payoff that you would like to think? Not really. Like, unfortunately,
I
no.
don't feel like with Batman either. There was no like real big payoff that I felt like. Oh,
dude,
my God.
Batman's felt like, oh wait, we're still going?
Yeah,
we're still
That was
going.
weird. Yeah.
It feels like this should have been over several times.
However, thematically though, that's a whole other subject.
Thematically, it makes a lot of sense. Is there anything now that since we're in spoiler territory?
You got a score?
You know what? To be honest, I would have legitimately said 6 if it wasn't for Angela Bassett and her presence in there. Only because I'm comparing it to the original, and there was just things that were missing, and I don't want to get into spoilers, but there were things that were missing that kind of felt like it was incomplete, and that is just how I saw it, again, because I'm comparing it to Wakanda. But because Angela Bassett did such a phenomenal job, 100% an 8. 100% an 8. Like, it's really up there with one of the better MCU movies. But when you compare it to the original Black Panther, which is a 9, in my opinion, it's missing that niche that it needed to be to become that well-made movie that it was before. So it's unfortunate, but there's literally nothing you can do about that. Yeah. It's just
there was no way to approach this situation and make everybody happy.
Well, without spoilers, I'm going to say that the charm is not there. There is no character. There is no character that can carry the charm that not only
the charisma
and the charisma. Not only that Chadwick held, but Michael B. Jordan as well.
Yes,
those two,
and then bouncing off of each other.
Exactly, those two carried that movie, and without either
the Virgil and Dante aspect of them is great.
Without either one of them, it is too difficult to make a story that continues without them and still be a 9. You know what I mean? Like, and no disrespect to the other actors, but I just don't think they lived up.
This movie doesn't have the same hook.
Yes. And then you can see in certain parts of the movie that they tried, and it just
to me, I think it had the hook because I really like. And we were talking about Namor stuff. I don't know, just Namor hit and like Wakanda hit. And I'm like,
but then it's the bounce. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the bounce.
Namor hit, but then when he has the dialogue with other characters and stuff, it's like, it's just not there. You know, you don't feel that
it's 100%.
that rivalry. You know what I mean?
No, it's not there.
Yeah, it's not there.
That intensity.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, because the Black Panther one is intense.
They always say a good superhero is only as good as their villains, and Batman would not be as impactful if it wasn't for the Joker and
then his rogues gallery.
yes, and exactly. So you have to have a good back and forth between those characters, and I just didn't see it. So again, a solid 8. It's just they something was missing, and we all know what it was.
Yeah. It's pretty obvious, and there was no way around it, and they obviously can't just not make the fucking movie.
Exactly. So yeah,
Nah, they couldn't do much. I do think that if there's one like valid criticism is like I would have thought the digital effects would have gotten like a proper big boost. But this goes to show you that they probably did, right? Visual effects are a funny thing where even if you throw a lot of money at it, it can still not look great.
Yeah.
And visual effects usually come down to a director. It comes down to DP. It comes down to like a lot of internal components. Do they understand the visual effects we're doing? Or are we just going to green screen it? Right?
Yeah.
Do we understand the type of compositions we're going to put in our film?
yeah.
And that's a big issue that Marvel has overall, where these films are really, they have directors that aren't great visual effect directors a lot of the time.
Do we know the budget between 2018 and this one?
No idea, but I'm assuming it's actually way more.
Yeah.
Right?
Because
Obviously.
Because how much the movie made, it's like, hey, we can put more money.
Yeah, I'm assuming they put a lot of money into it, but
It's
there
probably
there are clearly some films that are like, for example, like just District 9. That's a cheap fucking movie, dude. Yeah. But the movie was designed from its inception and its story from its inception with the visual effects in mind. With the visual effects will tell our fucking story.
Yes.
So we need to put our characters in appropriate situations and scenarios and set pieces where they don't look like shit.
Yeah.
Right? And in Marvel movies, they sort of like, they don't think about that, they just execute.
Yeah.
They just
I feel
go.
that way with movies that are made for 3D and movies that are this, we have 3D.
Obviously.
Yeah, you feel that. Like,
And how many movies were actually made for 3D? Very little. Like, I know of one for sure.
At a certain point, you have to see, okay, is this movie 3D or was it made for? And that has to be in the trailer. You know what I mean?
That line became very hard to discern.
Yeah,
they
you
were
don't
trying
know.
to hide it. Like, okay, is this actually a 3D movie or is it just post 3D?
Yeah.
I mean, there is an art, I think, no matter how much money or effects house you have going at it to because I mean this is a weird one because, like, you know, you have an underwater kingdom, you have Wakanda, which isn't real at all, and it has its own artistic look to Wakanda and everything.
Right.
Yeah, his little Hadouken thing. But like I distinctly remember back the year The Dark Knight came out, and movies still cost a lot to make even then.
Sure.
But about a week or 2 weeks before Dark Knight came out, Hellboy 2 came out, and it cost about it was a $65 million budget film.
Yeah. Lots of crazy practical shit in that film.
And it looks fantastic. I mean, the CG, automatons at the end, not so much, but like the movie looked great, and you remember it distinctively. And Dark Knight came out, like a week later, and it cost twice as much or more to make. And
they shot it in Chicago.
Because it's Chicago. And it's like, what did they spend all that money on? Mostly just like Chicago air shots or whatever.
And taxes.
And it's like, and not that Dark Knight looks bad. Dark Knight looks great. But it's like, sometimes you can get a very special effects heavy movie to look good if you just, if you're just focused on what you want it to be sometimes or whatever. It is a Guillermo del Toro movie. And he took a lot of his own personal budget, of his own personal paycheck out to pay for sets sometimes in the movie. He just wanted to have a set look really good, so he just took money out of his own paycheck for it.
I'd probably assume like a lot of special effects.
And Marvel has a bit of a problem where it's just kind of like, it has to be done so fast. It has to be done timely.
Because they have a whole MCU to worry about. So it has to be done in a specific way.
It can't just come out after this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
It has to come out before this one.
And the VFX shops that are working on it have to pump this one out because they got to get to the next Marvel movie. And they're not paid well either.
That's tough, man.
Yeah.
It's a hard business, man.
So I mean that's obviously a criticism, but is that even a valid criticism towards Wakanda Forever? It's not, because it's an MCU issue.
Yeah, it's an MCU issue, and it kind of bleeds in here, which is funny because it feels very standalone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
it almost feels outside of MCU.
Like I obviously I think they'll bring back Namor, or I'm sorry, the underwater. Whatever.
I think it wasn't Namor an actual title in the progression.
Oh, you mean in the next phase?
Yeah, in the phases.
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think so.
And it's funny, those issues only are dealt with at the very end. They're very final movies. You don't really run into those issues because that's like, hey, this is our big thing, right? Like an Endgame, 1 and 2.
Oh, I think it was. Oh God! Oh well, it's a spoiler. So I don't want to say anything.
But we're in spoiler territory.
Yeah, we're in spoiler territory.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Spoilers. Okay. Well, then, if that's the case, then I think Ironheart was the one that was coming up next. That's the next.
That's a series.
That's a series,
series,
right? So again, that is actually tying up then, because they need.
Yeah, that's tying in,
That's
and
tying
I'm
in
sure
then. Yeah,
Telokan will come up again. Like I'm sure they'll use the underwater people because again, it's another country bit.
Man, I don't know, man. That to me, like that origin story just hit, and it just made 100% sense. And it was just like underwater Wakanda on top of water Wakanda.
Yeah.
You know, and
It's cool.
Cool.
It's cool,
No,
but like
I
it
just-
didn't get enough time, really.
Yeah,
like
so
they go there.
They literally take their Disney ride through
Yeah,
the
they go there. They show it a little, like they show a quick little run, walk through, and then you're gone.
But
And we
to me, I like that story. It just said like that's kind of sick, man. It's just like we're dying. They find this plant, and they and
What is with that plant?
yeah, right.
Why is it so crazy?
And he
Shit.
dove into
What
that
is-
cave.
what is
to
with
get
that
it.
plant?
It's an amazing
So
plant.
it's
Yeah,
interesting.
why is it so crazy?
Which I
Interestingly-
actually didn't like the idea that.
I get it. It's just like the Wakanda
Wakanda
flower.
flower,
Yeah,
and
that was
they
dumb.
can synthetically use it to
Interestingly-
make the new Wakanda flowers. Like, okay.
Interestingly, the thing about it is that so that Yucatan Peninsula, that's like right where the comet, the dinosaur killer,
Right.
one of them came
yeah.
in and
One of them.
smashed into the earth, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
when
that's
I
right,
was
there's multiple. Yeah, it wasn't
when I
just
was
one, yeah.
when I was down in
remember
Mexico and they're saying like there's no hills here. Why? I'm like, yeah, because when the comet hit, this is like it just shaved and crashed across and scraped across the Earth's surface and
Yeah.
there's no hills.
Yeah.
Jeez.
There's no hills here. That's why.
Yeah.
So they're kind of interestingly like taking this idea that like that comet, the real one, that happened, that had vibranium in it.
Huh.
Because he dives down beneath that
So we're
temple.
saying that it's like a vibranium infused plant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the same way that the flower is like a vibranium infused flower.
Vibranium?
Vibranium. Vibranium.
Because like the whole idea in the movie they present is that like Wakanda got hit with that comet.
Yeah.
They discovered it, and that's how they were able to like jump ahead in technology, and they isolated themselves and all the other stuff.
I remember.
And they're like, well, you mean another comet could have possibly hit? And then the movie kind of poses the idea, interestingly, that no, the comet.
I remember it
formed
was-
the Gulf of Mexico.
I remember it was either like Screen Junkies or Screen Rant or something like
Junkies.
that noticed or that they mentioned how many rare metals there are. You got adamantium, you got vibranium, you got the new stuff in Kondak with Black Adam. He's got
that's
that rare
a-
stuff
yeah,
like that.
that's
There's so many different rare metals all over the place. It's like it's not even rare
It's
anymore.
comic book MacGuffin.
Yeah, it's all of this stuff.
We need a power source as kryptonite.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, oh my god, like no one can get to it and stuff like that. It predicts the pace of how they're going to tell the story because
comic book
it's
writing.
how it works, and it's hilarious. At this point, it's kind of comical because it's like, okay, is there another rare metal that we're going to introduce?
Well, the movie's again, like Ken was saying, it's interesting how his backstory is basically about how he became sort of super disenfranchised with the surface world.
Oh yeah.
Because of the Spanish conquistadors.
Yeah.
It's weird that he didn't ever come up and decided to because his whole plan in the movie is just to wipe out the surface world.
But then it goes back to almost. But yeah, like it almost.
Like
goes back-
what?
Killmonger.
Like the idea that like he
not
wait.
Killmonger, but Black Panther 1, where it's just like, you know what? All this crazy shit is going on in the world,
alone.
and Wakanda's just like,
We'll leave it alone.
We'll leave it
so
alone.
I think the motivation of the character is just the same thing with Black Adam, where it's just the protection of
Right, but it's a
his
little
thing.
unclear though, like why he okay, so they discovered like a little bit of vibranium on the bottom of the ocean,
Right.
which was close to where he lived.
Right.
So now he's decided the surface world must burn forever, kind of thing.
Because the surface world, he knew that at a certain point the surface world was going to come to his kingdom. He didn't know when, but he knew that
I
by
guess
the time
it just
that they got
kind of
that
it just
close,
almost seems
the time
like
is coming.
Escalation.
Yes.
It just kind of seemed more like, well, why didn't he just
And
wipe them out earlier?
I don't think he wanted to. I think he understood that, and I don't even think he has the power to, and he knows this. This is why he went to Wakanda in the first place, because he knows he can't do it by himself, so he needs allies. So the idea of him realizing, okay, this is a time that they've gotten this close.
We could be
I need to get.
He's probably looked at most news sites and realized that every American on average has 6 to 12 guns.
Yes.
This will become challenging.
I mean, we can survive these gun bullets, but we're gonna make sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was
Probably
weird
very
because
concerned.
Yes.
There's a little on again, off again powers with his people, where like they come up and the bullets bounce off them, and then when that chick is running away to the helicopter, she's downing them with like a 9mm.
But they get up.
I guess they get up.
Yeah, they get back.
But part of me is just kind of like,
It's like something.
you're from the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah,
this is going to
like-
feel like a tickle to you.
Yeah, especially
Here's the thing that I thought was strange is when what was her name, Shiri or no the
Okoye?
T'Challa's girlfriend. What's her name?
She shot him with some Wakanda weapon.
Right. What was her name? Does anybody remember?
I don't
Okay, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, she shot him with the Wakanda weapon that literally killed him in close range. How did she know that was going to have that effect on those characters?
Yeah, because she said it was a sonic.
It was a sonic hit that was, this is what killed them at close
wave
range.
emitter.
And I'm like, did you study them that well before you went down? Like, how did you know their weakness at this point? Yeah, I know, I get it.
I don't know if she necessarily knew. She just had a really
just
powerful
grabbed
gun.
Right, but these people are able to survive, knives and shots and bullets and stuff like that.
But
So they
Okoye
could
was able to tell that to
Yeah.
the Queen before the Queen sent her on that mission.
Yeah.
So you could have at least the information. You could plausibly think that Angela Bassett, when she told her to find my daughter, by the way, these people are like really tough skinned.
Yeah.
Like
You think
bring
they would
something that's gonna like really drill
knock them
through
down or something like that.
That guy can kind
Tell
of
him a
excuse.
real nasty joke.
I can kind of excuse
fish fry joke.
Yeah.
But dude, the fight scene with Okoye and the general guy on the bridge was a lot cooler than most of any fight when the Black Panther's on the screen flipping
Yeah.
and dipping and shit. That fight's
because-
very visceral and it's like they're
I
both
like the
badass.
part he
That
just-
is a big blue dude in a
Yeah.
big blue suit versus an actress in a giant fucking crazy
Blue.
skin tight costume.
Yeah, she's blue
doing
too.
actual things.
Yeah.
It's a bit more.
Yeah, that fight
I
was
just don't
disconnected.
I'm just so disconnected. This glaze
very
over
disconnected.
when Black Panther's just doing all this Spider-Man shit.
Well, here's the thing: is that
Yeah.
they found something that they could build on, which was her rivalry.
Well, just warriors. They're two warriors.
Right, and I totally get that.
And that felt like
But
yeah.
it didn't
See,
hit as
I
well.
felt more of them like we're two warriors and like let's just go.
Yeah.
More
I felt
than-
more of that than Shuri versus Namor at
Yes,
times.
100%.
Yeah, because it was building up.
Yeah.
Like they had squared off before, and they're seeing it. And just didn't have the movie just didn't have enough fucking time, and also spent way too much time doing too many other things.
Here's the thing: you have Ironheart, you have the morning of Chadwick Boseman, you have the building of the rivalry between Shuri and Namor, and then you also have the loss of
Queen.
not just the Queen, but also the warrior who was banished from her kingdom as well because she lost Shuri as well. You have too many elements that you have to build right away.
He forgot the whole American, espionage.
Oh my god, and the CIA part
the
too.
CIA.
That's what I keep saying. Like, what fucking payoff was the CIA guy at?
And then he's just there.
Yeah, he provided intel, but he didn't really do anything.
There's no reason for those scenes to be in the film.
I thought there was going to be some.
Where he comes in, and the only thing is that they set him free.
But yeah, let's just have him not be arrested at all.
You know what's crazy? If you take away all of those parts,
movie changes not at all.
Doesn't change.
The only
anything
part you
about it.
needed was the beginning where he told.
Where he gives them information about where to find the girl.
Where to find the girl, and that was
This,
basically
and,
it.
and like I said,
And that's it.
This
Hey,
was
see you
my
later.
issue with with the whole thing is that the fact that you have too many elements and you can't build upon them.
You know why?
Ironheart was a great character, but it doesn't have the impact as Iron Man because Iron Man had an entire fucking movie where he builds it from scratch.
The thing is,
the fact that Ironheart is able to just make this thing immediately within a couple of days, weeks to become that proficient in taking on
I feel
taking on the
I feel like
the water people. It was kind of like
The thing is, we don't know.
it's kind of rough.
But the thing is,
It was a little too much. It was too much too fast.
There was so much in there. And then
Yeah.
I feel like the CIA thing was almost like I was expecting during their big fight at the ocean at the end that the American military was going to come in, possibly even throw in Don Cheadle, War Machine in there.
right to help fight.
And it's going to be like this thing where they realize they're petty. Like it was going to be like this payoff where these two countries are fighting each other. Neither one of them want to share their technology with the other. They both kind of want the same thing, and then the real threat shows up, and that's the world government of the real world coming in, and that's when they realize, we can't be fighting each other to hold our secrets when we've got the greater world full of assholes who want to take it all from us.
Absolutely
Instead, they went with
fantastic.
revenge bad.
Absolutely fantastic. Simmons, I actually never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
That would have been a way better ending.
That's what I thought it was building towards.
Absolutely fantastic.
That's what I thought Bilbo's whole role was building
And
towards.
you know what?
100%.
And one thing I
just realized
I do
that.
have to give the
Good
movie
job.
credit
High five,
for,
Good shit.
and I thought I thought the film was going to do this at one point. I thought they were going to have like CG Chadwick or something.
I did
in
too.
the Vision. I thought they were
I thought it
going
was
to,
gonna be
and
in
they
She's
held
Vision.
off.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, they held off, which was I'm like,
You know what? Kind of felt off-putting is the fact that no mention of the father.
Yeah. T'Challa's dad just force
There was
went
a
over
couple-
and everything.
Don't forget that
there was a couple of mentions of the dad.
Where?
Well, they mentioned
the
the
Queen.
dad.
Well,
He
yeah,
had
his
a
dad.
dad.
Yeah, that was it.
He had a dad, the son of this.
You do realize
That's
that
basically it.
Chadwick saw his father and he had a whole conversation.
Well, that is also her father, too.
Oh no, but he's like, oh yeah, Killmonger says like, dude.
Right, because she.
Well, it's not like the character doesn't exist, but like
Right.
in the same way that for the black,
So he has no impact for her whatsoever.
for T'Challa's character, like his father is obviously a big part of like
Yeah, no, but
the
I
totally
spirit
get
world.
that.
He said, hey,
And, another
your
thing-
brother let the man who killed your father live.
Another thing is the fact that the Panther, the God Panther, is supposed to reveal
Be
himself.
in the Vision.
He's supposed to
I was
reveal
actually
himself.
waiting for him. Like, where's the Panther gonna be?
No matter what Black Panther is being, will become the Black Panther, or no matter what king or prince will become the Black Panther, they always see the vision of that God Panther before they
in the
become that.
movie they show that because
There's
he
a
saw
reason
his
why they have a
dad,
big-
he saw
big
his
shrine of it.
grandfather.
Right.
There was like a whole row of like other past
Well, you know what?
lives,
Yes,
Here's the
and they
thing.
didn't have that at
They
all.
didn't have that
You
at
know
all.
why? And I'll give it. And I think it was on purpose, and it was the film because she was at battling with her science and her culture and all the spiritualness, and she was saying like she was kind of like in the thing. I'm not really feeling this stuff. I'm like, you know what? I don't know. Like there was hints where she was just like, I'm more my science. I'm not into
So
the
here's the thing with that. If that's the case, then the Panther would not have granted her the superpowers. That
Yeah, and that's why I was actually confused.
Yeah,
like, and
how did she get it?
I was
She
genuinely
wasn't
confused.
worthy.
Like, so wait a minute, she didn't pass the trial technically,
Right.
No, she didn't. Yeah, because
But she punches armor and now she's buff.
So how is she getting the powers when she didn't pass?
I will
Maybe
definitely
this is-
say that felt weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's the whole point, is that
Maybe
she's trying to pass
she
through and
got-
she doesn't see all the things she's supposed to see.
she got like a different version because Killmonger didn't see. He saw his father. Killmonger saw his dad.
He didn't. I don't know if Killmonger saw the Panther.
No, but he did see his dad.
Okay.
And I think, like, like Shuri, she saw a like maybe she got it, but I think she got like an evil version or a
So
dead
at
version.
that point, it's Killmonger too. And you know what? I think that's the
Because
science
that-
part of it.
that's her
The
science.
That's the science part
That's
of it.
the science, and, like,
where the flower itself doesn't grant you the visions of the God Panther or anything like that. That's just in their head. It's just the flower itself. But then you get into
Super serum.
yeah. Then you
It's
then you
literally
get-
a Captain America super serum.
Right, exactly. So that can be explained in that way, but then if you get into Doctor Doom and stuff like that, and him talking to the Panther and shit like that, then you get into a whole other world.
I think it was a fun twist, but I think more importantly, what Max was saying too was like, it felt like she shouldn't have gotten the powers from it.
Right.
Like she shouldn't have immediately had it, because there was like a scene later on at the end of the movie.
She said
big
it to the
spoilers.
construct thing, remember?
The construct. yeah.
Construct line? Yeah, so she's saying that's just shit you see in your head.
Exactly, because she
No, I
put
know
it
that,
away.
but I think
And that's why she saw Killmonger.
I'm not talking about like, oh well, like technically for actually, and it's not about
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
technicality.
yeah. I know
What
what
I'm
you
saying is she shouldn't have had any powers from it. Like it should have been this moment, this character moment. They have this scene at the
she
end
takes it.
where she's about to kill Namor, and she has a flash and plays the movie in reverse, right?
Yeah.
that's sort of the moment she should have really gotten her Panther powers. Like thematically, it's like you weren't ready
But you became
for this.
But you became worthy.
When you got over your vengeance, like the whole idea of being like she got over the idea of wanting to just live, like be consumed by her anger and vengeance, that's when she becomes the real Black Panther, and that's when she should get the super strength.
But you have to have the Black Panther doing these flips and shit.
Yeah. Dude,
in order to pace the story, yes.
I had to say this in the very beginning of the film, like that whole scene, like where they're fighting to save his life. That wrecked me, man, because I wasn't thinking about the Black Panther. I was thinking about Chadwick Boseman and his like last.
Yeah, that was hard
hard
to disassociate that.
Yes,
shit.
because I wasn't watching. Oh, Black Panther. No, I'm just literally in my mind, and there's the doctor saying this and that. That's just Chadwick, and it fucking just wrecked me, man. I was just like, holy shit, dude. Like, and it was woof.
For me, it was a decent scene. I don't. The part that got me was when Angela was talking about everything that she lost.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like have I not sacrificed?
I literally like, and you feel it in her voice. Go back and listen to it. Her voice. Yeah. Her voice was. She was crying and she was angry at the same time, and that was not acting. That was just her. The part where she talks about, okay, well, she just lost her husband, she just lost her son, and now she just lost her daughter. She has nothing. She's the queen of the most powerful nation in the world. Who gives a fuck? I just lost my entire family. I don't care anymore. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And the tears come down her eyes. It is very impactful. It is very impactful.
And that's probably one of the better parts of the whole film is like the emotional significance and the heavy hitting delivery.
Yes.
From the actors is genuinely good.
Yes.
Like there's some great. There's a heavy movie. It's not like in the same heaviness as like a Logan or something like that. But there's a comparison to be made of like what kind of superhero movie is this? And I honestly would say like this is the MCU version of like Logan in some ways. It's like not super easy to watch at times. Like it's a very emotional dealing with loss kind of movie.
They do that well. The violence is weird. Like Shuri gets straight up impaled with no blood whatsoever.
That was weird.
Even when she pulls herself out.
Wait a minute. How did she just live from?
Don't ask what.
Oh my God! How does she just live from?
Don't you ask questions?
She had the power of the.
She front flips over the dude after pulling herself off.
Wait a minute! Did we just?
Stick.
She was still hurt though. She was still like staggering.
Yeah, she does it front flip and goes like
But she did.
I mean, I was so glazed over from the big CG like fight.
Okay. Let's break down.
How did she survive?
Let's break down
vibranium.
Let's break down Black Panther's powers. Black Panther can technically get impaled. He does have super.
So he does have Wolverine healing.
He does have. I don't know if it's as good as Wolverine. I don't think it's that in depth, but he does have.
She definitely lost an organ or two.
She did. Like she was literally dead.
Like there was some Mortal Kombat sound effects when he was moving that shit around. He was like grinding it up. It was. Damn, I fucking completely forgot that she technically dies practically and then does a front flip.
There's a lot of weirdness. You want to talk about like weird things? There's like the fact that she gets impaled and pulls her off her impalement with zero blood whatsoever.
We don't because come on, Samsy, come on.
There's a scene where they show whales literally chilling out at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which struck me because she goes through the whole like Finding Nemo EAC current.
I think
to the very bottom and they're hanging out on whales.
I think
whales breathe. I
think that because they're controlling the whales, so they're not hanging out. They're just.
Whales don't go that deep.
I get it.
Also,
they breathe.
What the hell?
They're mammals still.
What the hell are killer whales doing around Mexico?
That's not impossible.
Is it? I thought killer whales were super cold water.
They generally stay up and down the Pacific,
like Alaska,
and they're over in the Caribbean, which is odd a little bit.
You guys are getting too technical.
But
come on, man. Stop.
It's way weirder that they rode an orca up the rivers of Central Africa to Wakanda. That actually made me chuckle a little bit when like they show like this big intense action scene and a bunch of not Atlanteans but Talokans are coming up Wakanda's river riding an orca, and I'm like, that's.
Stop. Okay, so
that thing's dead.
Let's talk about character development. I feel like I Ironheart didn't get enough time to be developed correctly. Like I felt like
she felt like she spent so much
I wanted
of the
to
movie
like the
just like
character. I liked the character. I wanted to like her more, but she didn't get enough screen time for me to actually get to know anything about the character.
Yeah.
Like Kenny said, he liked Namar because there was a huge backstory with the character.
Yeah.
Well,
There
I
was
like how
no-
they changed it. Like, you know, they just
She just
like
smart.
Atlantis.
She was just she was. I'm really smart and I'm like really young. And I'm like, cool.
I made something when I was 3.
Oh shit.
Oh shit! I made a car when you
I
were
would,
3.
I would have loved to have like some sort of.
You need a film.
Exactly.
You need a film of her.
Well, that's the thing is that we introduce her and it's kind of forced. If we have time to develop the character.
It's like you just have she's one of the smartest people in the world. Like, and even in the comics, she's the smartest.
How weird is it that they just kind of let her go when she made the only vibranium detecting machine in the world?
Yeah.
Right? And like they didn't for some reason, like
You mean the whole point of the film?
yeah, but like
We need to stop this girl from making vibranium machines?
for some reason
We're just gonna let her go?
She figured it out,
I think-
and the American government was just kind of like cool, like not,
Okay.
like not they didn't make
I can
more.
explain- I think
They didn't like bring her in
I
or
think
anything.
I can
They
explain
just
that because I think the fact that the girl is no longer going to make those machines anyway. The government can't force
well,
her.
like they did that thing where they tricked her, like she thought she was just.
They can't force her. She's the
Selling-
smartest girl in the world, Max. They can't force
Well,
her.
no, Simmons just pointed out like
Oh,
a
yeah, but
hilarious,
what if it's not America?
hilarious element that like the whole point of the film, the entire plot line of the film is that this little baby child has created a vibranium detecting super machine on accident, and everyone in the planet is trying to get their hands on her so that they can have vibranium detecting super machines. So she is like a pivotal character for plot.
Right.
By the end of the film, we ignore all that and we just let her go home.
Because the focus was...
And they're gonna keep Telecon secret. They're gonna keep the underwater kingdom completely secret and
But they
just
let her go home.
and just let her go home to America.
the American government still doesn't even know about the...
But they know she's the one who made the machine.
Yeah.
The American government made the machine.
And they're just letting her walk back. And she
As
knows.
soon as she gets off the plane and cuts.
and she knows also all about what's been going on because she fought that battle.
She's the smartest girl in the world, Max. As soon as she gets off the plane, they're not going to catch her. She's going to be at home making more machines that have nothing to do with searching for vibranium.
She's gonna make another Ben 10 outfit.
Yes, exactly.
Or Ben 10.
She's the smartest girl in the world.
Not Ben 10.
Again, I just don't.
Big Hero 6.
Just some weird things here that just don't add up.
Yeah,
like
it's
why
fine.
they only made one machine when they figured out it worked from her. Why they didn't bring her in, or why they didn't immediately make more machines.
You're talking about the American government? Or
yeah, American government.
Well,
and then like that. And then,
I think the only time that it actually worked was when
they're just letting her, who knows everything that happened in that movie that they want to keep secret from the rest of the world.
I think they kept it
go home to America.
I actually think they kept it secret from her. She didn't realize.
She was fucking in the fight. She was Ironheart.
No.
She was flying around. She knows about the underwater kingdom.
No, I'm talking about the machine. She didn't know that they made.
No, she didn't. But it doesn't matter.
She knows
made
that it detects vibranium. She didn't know it was going to the American government.
Yeah, she didn't know that
The American government tricked her by saying she thought she was just selling it to some other thing, you know, whatever. But it's like, why would they do that?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they just make a bunch of them?
Right.
Why wouldn't they mass produce them?
They didn't know how to.
They know she does.
Yeah.
Once you know how to make a machine, you make a bunch of them.
Right.
Like the atomic fucking bomb.
But they don't know if it actually works correctly. They were doing the test run in that scene.
But then it does.
But then it does.
But
and they think the Wakandans killed them for it. So they're pretty sure.
So that's why they said, okay, this girl's important. I believe they were supposed to go after her too, and they did. That's why the Wakandans got to her first. The Wakandans got to her first before they got to her.
It doesn't make sense why she would just be
in school
hanging out in school
but
like
it's,
that.
It's like the time
it's
frame.
Like this, it's a weird thing, and then they just let her go home, knowing all the shit they want to keep secret from the world.
I think they wanted to confirm if it was vibranium, and they never got the chance because they were wiped out by.
I think they know pretty well when they lost 30 Navy SEAls,
right? But still, I think
they knew jackpot.
And speaking about that beginning, nobody really, I guess, realized that the actress that was the special agent that was shooting off all the fish people. Was from Malcolm in the Middle.
I don't know.
The mom? No, it was the girlfriend of Malcolm, or the quote unquote girlfriend of Malcolm. She was like a love interest. She was from Malcolm in the Middle, and she grew up, and as
people tend to do.
Yes, right. That's amazing. She grew up. She did. It's crazy. She played it looked like a very important part in the beginning of the movie.
No, she did.
And immediately gone. Who cares? Fuck, it's dead.
It just seemed like one of those scientists.
No. You know why they gave her an important part? Because when she got off the plane, the camera went like this. She's important.
Yes,
It did that.
exactly.
It gave you the impression.
Yes,
I
it
know.
was like,
I know exactly what you're talking
Right,
about.
and it felt like, okay, she's gonna be a very major part in this entire story, and as soon as she falls in the water with the helicopter, gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so then why
I
not
didn't
just
care.
So
I
then,
wasn't like, oh man.
so then why not just kill her off when she's on the boat? Why have her go off into this fucking helicopter?
Because they're establishing that Namor can
Because
fly.
Namor can come up and go, wee!
They're establishing he can fly.
And do
strong.
stuff, but then
And he's strong.
But then just get some jobber actor that can kill him off in the first place. Why have this major actress that is
I
going to
think
be
it
a
was to
pivotal
try
part?
to make you feel, oh shit, Namor's got superpowers.
To me,
I
she
guess.
died,
Super juiced, I
and I
guess.
was like,
Sure.
okay, well, she died. Like, I wasn't
Because
like,
you didn't know the actress.
Yeah,
like
but even then.
she's obviously like somebody that's like
They
was
tried
supposed to be
really
important.
hard also.
Steve had a crush on her.
I did. I shut up. I did. She
I
did.
knew it.
She was really close back with the middle. She was really close back with the middle.
Steve's
She was cool. She was cool.
oh, you know,
They tried really hard to make Namor not look stupid flying in this movie.
That was troubling. That was very troubling. And
I thought
again,
it looked cool.
this is why I said
kind of
that.
looked like Icarus.
This is why I said.
Yeah.
This is why I said that.
Look like Icarus.
Black Panther. I didn't like the idea of like his little kitty scratch and stuff like that. And the same thing with Namor. He has the kind of like similar powers even in the comics. So when they made it into the movies, they did a really good job of both those characters. But even then, it's kind of difficult to make them more cool.
He's got these
I think they made him cool.
stupid little wings.
It's like how the fuck do those wings make you fly? That's like
And he lives at the
How
bottom.
does this make
He
sense?
lives at the bottom of the ocean. It's the densest thing.
I feel like they could have taken a little bit of creative liberty with the stupid things that he has, and they could with the same way they did with Kamala in the show, where she doesn't do big stretchy arms anymore, right? I don't think I think they stopped that.
Yeah,
She
they
does
should
like
stretchy
projection,
arms. Yeah.
projection of big stretchy things.
What was that? What the-
Yeah. Look, here's the thing.
You probably could have like made him have like vibranium fucking feet or some shit.
Vibranium feet.
Like,
But look, here's the
I would
thing.
actually rather have him fly with nothing.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I would have been that
Anti-grav
too.
tech would have been fine. Because,
Yeah.
like, again, he
It was
lives.
silly.
But it was important for when Sherry knocked him, when she
Clipped his
disabled
wings.
him.
Clipped his wings. But
It was very- it was very-
Grabs
But
a little, like,
Shut up,
grabs a little bonus
Look,
chicken
here's the
wing.
thing too. Like we're talking about, how does his wings? How does a fucking man
I
turn
know.
into the ground?
I know.
And come back?
But it doesn't look as stupid.
we're talking about visuals.
Yes, exactly.
Talking
Like
about
that. It looks so
Yeah,
stupid.
dumb. Okay,
It looks so dumb.
It looks a little weird because he's.
But it looked like if you watched an Icarus movie or a God of War movie, you would see one of the gods, you know. But even though they kind of like, but like maybe it was Icarus.
But
Icarus goes fast. He doesn't
Icarus
fly.
has-
He actually just goes fast.
Icarus has wings that his father made from wax.
Well,
And
there's-
feathers of birds,
there's-
and he flew too close to the sun.
Well, there's
Like,
one-
he had like human size.
Look again. Let's just get past the part that it looks stupid. But at the end of the day,
And he
the
lives
character-
at the bottom of the ocean. He has to be denser.
Why are they
than-
feathers?
Than the
Than
dying
steel.
sun.
Why are they
It's
feathers?
steel.
So
You're asking too many questions.
He can fly.
Too many questions, guys.
Hey, fuck it.
Stop
the,
it.
The Hulk.
It's so
Stop it.
It just looks weird.
Don't ask questions.
His bones, everything, and then just goes back to normal.
No, you're
And his
right.
pants were made
And
the right
his
size.
pants,
yes,
like, when
pants
you
are
start
up.
thinking about
Man, the
comic books-
MCU sucks.
yeah, fucking sucks.
It's just. I think it's just
Stop
giving
thinking
him
about it.
little wings.
It's so
and then
fucking
fluttering the little
See,
wings.
there's a difference
He's running, he's
between-
like, that looks dumb.
That's the difference between Hulk and what the fuck we saw with Namor. Hulk looks cool. It doesn't matter how dumb the idea is.
Yeah, it's
he
dumb.
looks fucking cool when he gets big.
Well, the thing is, I liked his design, and his that Mayan design was fucking awesome.
Sure,
man.
it's just-
Regular
the-
Namor is.
But I know you didn't like the
ankle
design.
wings was just kind of
I know you
like.
didn't like the design of the ankle wings. I know for a fact you didn't like the design of the ankle wings.
I thought it was all right. You know, to me, because it just seemed like it was like
Why?
because of God of War and like something like it just seemed like
I don't know, man. It's
like
just.
it wasn't like I wasn't going cuckoo over it, but I'm like, oh, you know, it's kind of like
I
it's
don't
kind of
know.
like
They just look dumb. I don't know that.
I know.
Like, okay, he can fly. What do we do to make it look like he can fly? Does he like grow wings out of his back? No, he has little ankle wings.
how does Superman fly?
His little chicken wings
Superman,
off his ankles.
I'm gonna fly fast.
But yeah,
Okay, so all of
Superman
us
looks cool.
all of us have to answer this then. What would be a better way to make it look like he can fly?
Vibranium feet.
I think anti-grav ankle locks or wrist locks.
He's a
wrist guards,
fucking
ankle
mutant.
guards.
He even says, "I'm a mutant" in a really weird way. That what does that mean to the characters in the fucking show? Like nothing.
Nothing.
I mean,
I think if you just
what
had...
do flying fish have? They have the fucking little wings on the side, right?
Like,
Kind of, but they're
There's
just
nothing
leaping.
fish.
They're not really
they're
flying.
Yeah, there's nothing fish-wise that would look cool.
This guy moves like a
Even like
hummingbird.
Poseidon in God of War 3, and they always be
what?
up on a sprout.
Sprite.
He's gonna be like Blade, like vibranium, like. His mom drank the vibranium, and his
I like
stuff in butt.
It should have been water.
Just
it should have been
him shooting
just
a
turn
right
it
in
into
a
a
stream.
straight up
water.
waterbender.
It should have been water.
It should have been him like surfing always like a wave.
Yes.
Or surfing clouds or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
It might have been too much like Aquaman,
But
because Aquaman does that too. But
does
at the same
Aquaman
time-
surf waves and shit?
Yes.
Oh
Yes, he
well,
does.
there you go.
But he didn't do that. in the movie.
But because we already have established there's a lot of like anti-Aquaman.
Yeah,
elements.
don't make it look like
Don't make it look
Yeah,
like
I totally
Aquaman.
understand. Yeah, I gotcha. I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know the whole history of.
So that's why they gave him.
Stop making a fucking sound! God damn it. Okay, I want to get into the atmosphere or the world building of Namar's world, because it seems like a lot of influence that he was being dictated was from his people, and a lot of his decision making was from them being pissed off. Okay, well, what's our next step? What are we gonna do? The whole Hadouken thing was kind of
That's
like
their sign.
it felt, I know it's their Wakanda thing.
Yeah.
Again, felt kind of forced in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's how you say hello. Like, we say hello.
Yeah, I was confused. Thank you.
It should have been like this.
It was
Like
strange.
West Side.
It was strange because by the time that Shuri went into their city, a lot of the people weren't blue. So I was very confused.
I noticed that.
When
They're
they-
blue when they're above.
surface.
When they go into regular oxygen, they turn blue.
Okay, because I didn't understand.
When they surface, they turn blue.
When they surface, they turn blue.
I
Okay.
thought vibranium turned them blue. I thought that was the whole point. They all drank the Kool-Aid.
I think
They all turned blue.
I think
The mom, but the
on
mom
the surface.
they turn blue on the surface.
But when they went in the water,
Then they
were
ran
brown.
into
Whenever they're
the water.
underwater, they're normal. They have whatever their regular skin color is.
Yeah. Okay, so I get that. I get that. I kind
Shout out to
of
that blue girl with the big hat. Man. Woo.
I'm not kidding.
No way.
Drink some water.
Oh, Angela
Drink some
Bassett.
water. Drink some
I
water.
love Angela Bassett.
some water.
I love Angela
Drink
Bassett.
some water.
I love Angela Bassett. You drink water for Angela Bassett. I'll drink water for the blue girl.
And the Malcolm in the Middle girl.
Oh, okay. You drink water for both of them.
Okay.
You drink water for love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Ah, there it is.
I think
Don't let
think
me clip that.
another thing that was outside of Ironheart that felt rushed was the world building of his kingdom. I didn't feel like any connection to the kingdom at all. It was just there.
They explained
And then
how he personally came
how
to
he
be.
personally became a
But
thing,
like
right?
it was like again, and they were playing the I thought it was, I guess it's Mayan, the hit ball, where like they hit the ball with their hip through the little hole that's sideways on the building.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually a nice nod to like
Right,
ancient
right.
sports are still playing it down
Sure,
there.
yeah, I saw that.
Or whatever, and like they harvest seaweed and whatever. But like you're right, like they did this very Disneyland like boat ride, but not even that long. Just wow,
Pan basket.
wonders of this kingdom.
We get
We're
it.
leaving.
And then everything is a direct comparison to Wakanda.
Yeah.
Everything is the same stuff that happens on Wakanda.
Yeah. It didn't hit, and that's the problem, and that's why, to me, overall, the score kind of felt like it
and
didn't.
the big problem is like he had the general, he had whoever Kenny's thirsting over.
Yeah.
The woman talking at the end.
Yeah, that too.
Okay. Like they had a couple lines.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe.
They weren't fleshed out.
Like whereas even in Black Panther 1, we got to know a lot of the characters in Wakanda.
Yes.
The mom, his
it's not
father,
their film.
his mother,
and
his sister,
film. If
his
it was
wife,
And here's the
Okoye,
thing: when I said about things are missing, it's not just Chadwick, but it's also Daniel Kaluuya, I believe his name
He's
is.
in jail.
What?
He's put in jail.
No.
Oh yeah. The character. Yes,
the characters.
Yeah, the characters.
I was like, no, he was filming Nope. That's
Yeah,
what I thought.
I know. I get you.
He was in Wakanda jail.
Yeah, he was in Wakanda jail and stuff like that. Like I feel
Him,
like I feel like
he.
him not even just getting any dialogue or not even being there. I understand conflict of interest. He's got other schedules to work with. Couldn't do the movie. Totally get
He
it.
was doing Nope.
It feels like something is missing when you're
I
watching.
feel
a
it's
whole movie
missing
like that.
a bit from
Just
the Moorish
for
Kingdom
overall.
because
Okay, but here's
we
the
don't
thing.
get to know anything
Here's the
about
thing.
anyone else
Right,
there.
exactly.
It's not his movie.
I totally get
And
that.
there's a lot of stuff.
100%.
If it was The Rock was Namor, then he would be like, well, guess what? The movie is
so obsessed with the Rock.
Yeah, so yeah,
But,
I
you
want
know,
to kiss him and rub his muscles.
I feel-
If it was The Rock, then the Namor movie would have been its own movie, and it would have been Namor starring The Rock, and then you would have got the whole thing.
I don't actually agree because I feel like that would have worked towards building the tension
Of
and
course,
building up
but
to having
this
the
movie
conflict
had a
and the
lot on
fight.
its plate.
That's the problem.
But does Marvel, do we get big showcase Marvel movies where the bad guy
Exactly.
girl is actually the main character?
Yeah.
No.
And like how? Yeah, exactly.
But that's almost more of a problem.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's why there's a big question for Doctor Doom. Is that like, are we eventually going to get an actual good Doctor Doom?
Right.
Because Doctor Doom's clearly not a fucking good guy.
Yeah.
He has evil intentions, even if it seems good. So
If The Rock plays Doctor Doom,
Kenny,
he'll be
stop!
a
I
good
swear
guy.
to God!
The Rock will be a
Kenny,
good guy.
I swear to God.
The Rock.
Here's the funny.
The Rock.
Here's the
kids
funny-
in to protect.
Here's the funny thing
He's
about.
like, I will save you, children.
Here's the funny thing about Kenny's complaint is the fact that even in the comic books, Black Adam is an anti-hero. He's not a full-on bad guy. So the complaint that you have about Rock being, oh, well, he's trying to be a good guy, so that, yes, that's the fucking character. The character Black Adam has been in JLA. He's been in Justice League. He's been in a couple of comic books. He's been in multiple comic books where he's actually been an anti-hero, good guy / anti-hero. That's the character. Rock is playing the character that's supposed to be the character. Your complaint about Rock being the actual character makes no sense because that's the character. Stop it, Kenny. Get off of Rock's nuts. Leave it alone. It's over.
Never a good guy.
It's
No,
definitely the character.
I honestly
close to
feel
being a
like
good guy.
if it wasn't dealing with the fact that we lost, Chadwick Boseman,
I understand, yeah.
I feel like they could have spent more time building up the kingdom of Telokan and going into each characters and the dynamics of that underwater of the lost, the lost tribe or the lost home. That would have done more than just we know Namor,
Yes.
and that's all we really.
I have a valid criticism of Toluca and its kingdom and stuff like that, and it's the visuals of it.
It's dark.
Very dark. It's
It
dork.
just doesn't
Very dork.
It doesn't
Very dark.
specifically come across as like looking great or actually underwater.
It looked like a bunch of hollow diamonds.
Yeah.
He just
And the biggest the biggest reasoning behind that is because me and Simmons, the last thing we saw before this, and this is a legit criticism of current movies. We came back from a Dolby theater where we saw like the 4K, 8K, 120 hertz crazy horse shit.
Yeah.
We saw a preview of Avatar, which was almost entirely underwater of the next movie, and it was fucking incredible looking. And it was almost like we went to the theater to go see this movie and its underwater sequences, and it was like turning YouTube from 4K down to 480p. The difference was like staggering. I was like,
harsh.
whoa.
But was the water as good as GTA water?
It was way better.
It was way better. Makes GTA water look like a bitch.
I don't know about that.
Actually, it'll make you burn GTA.
And that's
really? Take your copy of GTA and burn.
That's
fire, yeah.
counting the 3D. Though the 3D I think did add to it, but just the fact that the laser projector screen we saw that on with HDR and all that
significantly better.
It would look significantly better. And this movie was kind of like, what am I looking at?
There are some moments like when Namor first appears, I'm just like,
You can't see it. Yeah.
what am I looking at? Like, where is he?
The trailer that you guys saw, was it shot in any, was there any nighttime? Was there any nighttime?
No, it was in the day,
in the day.
technically.
Yeah.
I mean,
But we
was
did
just
see
it was just a scene from
the remastered first movie, which didn't look as good as the new footage, but the nighttime sequences in the remastered first movie looked fucking incredible.
It was just like the difference between like this screen had a way better screen projector than the movie we saw this on.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, boy, it is hard to downgrade.
It's hard. Once you have that perspective. So that's our transition chat. We're going to be probably next reviewing Abatap, though.
Abatap.
We have probably the best premiere theater to see it at. I'm convinced there's no better place to see it after what me and Simmons saw. There's definitely no way.
Yeah, it was like watching a 4K HDR, certified movie on an OLED.
Yes, and like the whole screen was an OLED.
Well, since we're now on spoiler territory, let's talk about the last part of the movie.
Oh,
yeah.
There's only one.
Yes, that is very impactful because I don't know if there's going to be another Black Panther movie. It's not in the
Well,
phase.
they said Winston Duke Like he's like, I challenge, and Shuri wasn't there, so Winston Duke.
But that's
he's gonna hold on. It's like, yo, I'll be Black Panther for you for like.
No. That's just to be the king of Wakanda. That's not what that fight's for. It's not to be Black Panther.
Yes, it's to be the Black Panther.
They don't. I thought it was just.
He still has to do the
other.
He has to do the Vision quest.
Yeah.
To be Black Panther, you have to do the Vision quest.
Remember in the first movie, they both slurp the juice.
But you have to be of the royal blood.
They slurp the juice to like so.
You have to be of the royal blood of the original family. That's why.
Not the royal blood. No.
Yeah, that's why Michael B. Jordan was able to come in because he was the royal blood.
I thought it was noble.
In the very first one, the families.
Then how did Michael B. Jordan get it then?
He challenged him.
But M'Baku, he challenged him. It's the families of Wakanda, like the top royals of Wakanda. Hey, who wants to challenge?
Oh, it's the top royals. That's right.
And then
Here's another thing about
the juice.
Here's another thing about
he drinks the juice to make him even.
To take away the power.
Take away the power.
To fight, in the last movie, Chadwick Boseman had to fight to the death, but he spared his life at the end. In this movie, they had an arm wrestling contest. I thought that was really off.
Oh, when they did the big...
Yes, there was an arm wrestling contest. It was not a fight to the death.
We don't have the time.
You don't have the time. Oh my god! I couldn't believe. I'm like, is that
Steve,
really?
there's so much in this movie already.
You went from a fight to the death to become King of Wakanda, to become the Black Panther.
A fight to the death.
Well, that was literally what those part 1 was about.
Well, like
it was a fight to the death, and Chadwick actually spared his life. And then when Michael B. Jordan fought him, he thought he killed him.
No, but see, it wasn't a fight to the death because he spared his life. So whoever fights, hey, I don't have to kill you. And Michael B. is like, I want to kill everything.
But no.
Well, I gotta go. But I'm just saying, it's not a fight to the death.
That was supposed to be the point.
No.
The point was supposed to be a fight to the death.
When did they say that?
When he was killed. When Michael B. Jordan thought he killed Chadwick Boseman.
No. But remember, Chadwick fought M'Baku.
Yeah, and he spared him.
Yes.
But he was supposed to kill him.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, everyone thought he was going to kill him. That was the whole point.
Who said that? Where was it? Like the thing was like, okay, now it's fight to the death. Where did he say it? Did they say that?
Then why was he French? How was he doing? Fight to the death.
Hey, no, they never.
It was implied.
They never established that.
It was implied.
Implied. That was never established.
Well, even then, regardless, it was a fight.
Yes.
To an arm wrestling contest. You go from a fight to an arm wrestling contest.
You know what? Exactly.
Let's do it right now, Max. Let's go. Let's go. Fire wrestlers. Let's go. Come on.
Same time.
Come on.
I gotta go.
Let's go.
Get my
Come on. There we go. See, guys, this is a fight for Wakanda. Wakanda.